You clicked on this video because you want to have joy. You're in a season of your life where joy does not seem like it's constant. It seems like it's fleeting. It seems like it's circumstantial. And you're wondering, can I have joy even when life is tough? And the answer to that question is yes. You can have joy all the time because joy is steady. Joy is not just this abstract thought that we say in Christianity that doesn't have a definition. It has a definition. And today I want to dive into what the Bible says about joy, because joy is steady and it's something that you can have regardless of circumstance. Hi, my name is Gary Knight, and I'm a Christian pastor and faith coach. And I want us to dive today into Psalms 126 so we can unpack what I call the rhythms of joy, so that you can learn how to rehearse the rhythms of joy. Joy has a cadence. And if you don't know the cadence, you'll be out of sync. And so I promise two things in this video. One, you'll have a working definition of what I believe joy is through my studies. And also, I'll help you understand the rhythms of joy and how in each season of life you can rehearse those rhythms so that you can experience more than a feeling, but that you can experience joy. So let's dive really quickly into what joy is and what joy is not. Joy is more than a feeling. It is not to be mistaken with happiness. Happiness is a feeling, and feelings are circumstantial and situational in nature, and joy is not that fragile. Christian joy, according to the Bible and my studies, is the steady state of trusting God's word, his will, and his power in times of peace, in times of trial, in times of change, in times of stagnation, lack, and abundance. It's trusting God at all times. Joy is a choice that we make to trust God no matter where we find ourselves and no matter what is going on in our lives. Joy is a state of being. It's not circumstantial. So it doesn't matter what's going on because it's a state that you keep yourself in through your faith, and not how life and its fleeting pleasures and the grief that comes into our life can change our faith and then change our joy. Joy is faith-filled anticipation and expectation. It's a life believing that God will do exactly what he says he will do. Joy is a matter of faith. It's a choice that we make. It is not a feeling of elation that we feel when life is going just right. Joy is much bigger than that, and it's much more expansive than that. Joy is a fruit of the Spirit, which means it's something that we can grow in. It's not something that comes and goes. It's something that we plant. It's something that we water. It's something that we learn how to nurture. Joy is something that we have to grow in and mature in. So it's not just a feeling. And because people have not defined joy for us, it has kept us from experiencing joy. And the Bible promises that there's fullness of joy in God's presence. But we don't always feel that, because to get into the presence of God, you have to trust God. It's every day working to trust. And that's how we have joy. And that joy is our strength. That trust in God, his power, his will, his word, the future he shows us, the vision that he gives us, that brings joy to our hearts when we trust. So for many of us today, we're lacking joy. We don't have it. We're struggling through joy because we have limited joy to feelings of elation, laughter, and celebration. And that's one side of joy caused by favorable circumstances, but that is not all of what joy is. And so joy is trusting God through all seasons of life. And so what I'm saying to you here today is that if you have a broken heart, you can still have joy as you mourn the loss of a loved one during the holidays. That means that you can have joy while you struggle to pay the bills and purchase Christmas gifts this year. That means you can have joy as you struggle through marital problems. This also means that you can have joy as you heal from decades of trauma. You can have joy even while you're going through a period of sickness. Joy can still be yours because you can still trust God. You can have joy while you're going through the toughest season of your life, because joy is a choice to trust God with great expectation. However, to truly experience God's joy in a steady and consistent way, we must understand that joy has rhythms, and the cadence of joy is moving, and we have to learn how to syncopate our life with that beat to experience everything joy has to offer. So let me dive in a little bit. There's a familiar passage that I want to read that you may have heard about joy, and then I'll kind of briefly go through it. So stay with me. Don't turn away, because I promise you this is going to be so helpful. So to fully understand the rhythms of joy, we have to read Psalms 126. I know it's Bible reading and I know I got to read a couple verses, but if we don't, we really won't understand where it's going. And I'm going to try to unpack it in a very short time. So bear with me. So it reads like this. When the Lord restored the fortunes of Zion, we were like those who dreamed. Our mouths were filled with laughter, our tongues with songs of joy. Then it was said among us, the Lord has done great things for them. The Lord has done great things for us, and we are filled with joy. Restore our fortunes, Lord, like streams in the Negev. Those who sow with tears will reap songs of joy. Those who go out weeping, carrying seeds to sow, will return with songs of joy, carrying sheaves with them. Now, I don't have time to really like unpack this like a sermon, but I want to kind of teach you and bring you through it with the rhythms and the responses that we need to have. So the first rhythm of joy that we have to practice in the steady state of trusting God is this: recalling God's faithfulness. Psalms 26 begins with the Israelites remembering a time when God delivered them from captivity. And joy starts by looking back at times where God has come through for us. Joy is looking back, not just with nostalgia, but as an act of faith, saying that even though my circumstances are bad right now, the only reason I know that my circumstances are rough right now is because I've had better circumstances. Displeasure with my current means that God has been faithful in the past. And when we recall God's faithfulness, it builds our trust in his ability to come through again. It's saying, God, if you did it before, you can do it again. How we get joy in tough seasons is looking back to when God has been faithful. Listen, when has God been faithful in your life? I know God has been faithful in the past in your life. The fact that you're here right now is a sign of God's faithful. So remembering those moments allows us to step into joy. It allows us to experience the peace that comes with the steady state of trusting God. There is peace in that. There is pleasure in that. There is joy there. When we look back and say, God has been faithful. Ty Tribbett said it. He said, if he did it before, he can do it again. One of the rhythms that you have to master to grow in joy is recalling God's faithfulness. Is that good? Aren't you ready to practice that? Rhythm of joy. And the second response to tough times or good times is this: praying and asking God with expectation. The psalmist in 126 does not stop at remembering, but the psalmist moves into prayer, asking God to restore their fortunes like streams in a dry land. This is a rhythm of joy that involves hope and expectation, the audacity to believe that it can get better. Joy is believing that God will make things better, but not just believing that things will get better, praying and asking with expectation that things will get better. Even when life feels barren, we can ask God to bring life into our dry places. Praying with expectation is an act of joy. It's the steady state of trusting God. When we pray, it keeps our hearts open to what God can and will do. We believe that God will come through, and prayer is the voice and the vehicle of faith. Prayer is the voice and the vehicle of faith. If I believe that God will do something, I will pray to the God in whom I believe. So, what are you praying for today? Maybe you're not experiencing joy right now because you're not recalling, but more importantly, because you're not praying with expectation. There's a peace that comes from putting everything in prayer and supplication to God. Philippians 4 promises this to us, that if we bring all of our cares and our concerns to the Lord, he will guard our hearts and mind. He'll give us peace that surpasses all understanding. What are you praying for? Joy comes when we trust God to bring rain in our deserts. It's so good, right? So number 3, so we got some rhythms. So the first rhythm, let's recap. The first rhythm is recalling God's faithfulness. The second one is praying with hope and expectation. The next one is sowing with faith in tearful seasons. This is good. One of the most powerful rhythms of joy is sowing with tears. The psalmist promises those who plant in difficult times will eventually reap with joy. Joy is an active choice to keep working, to keep praying, to keep investing, even when the outcome seems uncertain. This means that, and really, if you think about it, like those who sow in tears, it's not talking about sowing tears. It's talking about working even when life is tough. Because if I don't work while life is tough, if I don't put seed in the ground while I'm praying for rain, when the rain comes, I have nothing in the ground to be nurtured, to be watered, that will spring up. So I have to learn how to work through my tough seasons so that I can have something when things get better. See, whether you're working toward healing, better relationships, better financial stability, joy is found in the process of faithfully sowing seeds, trusting that God will bring a harvest. Remember, tears don't stop sowing. They often water the ground for a future joy-filled life. Your tears have a purpose, but they're to water what you're planting and not keep you from going out. You got to learn. I don't know who I'm speaking to in this video. You got to learn how to sow with tears in your eyes. You got to learn how to pray with tears in your eyes. God, my pastor's wife used to say it all the time, that God hears the language of tears. This is good. I'm so excited. All right, let's move forward. The fourth rhythm that you have to learn to master and rehearse is this: waiting with patience and expectation. Joy also involves waiting. The steady state of trusting God in all circumstances is also about waiting, sometimes for a long time. Practicing joy is about looking to the future with expectation, trusting in God's perfect timing. Waiting can be hard, but it's also a chance to envision what God will do. See, waiting allows us to use our imagination to look forward with hope and expectation that God will do exactly what he said he will do. Now, and this is helpful because if you feel like Gary, I've been waiting for a long time. Well, I've got something exciting for you. The longer you've been waiting, the closer you are to what God is getting ready to do. Yeah, you ought to shout. The longer you've been waiting, the closer you are to fulfillment. And that's why joy builds up. That's why joy gets better. Because the longer I've been waiting, the closer I am to God's fulfillment. You ought to clap your hands right now in this video and shout with joy. Nothing's changed, but now you realize that my waiting season is a time for me to rejoice over what I believe God will do. It's a chance for me to lift my hands and to worship him, to imagine the goodness of God that I know I'll see in the land of the living. See, picture your harvest. This anticipation is a deep source of joy, even while you're still waiting. So what is the question? What are you trusting God to bring to life? Start looking at it. Start planning for it. Like part of the sowing part, I know I'm like, go get a shirt. Go. Oh my God, there's so many things you can do to sow. There's so many things you can do to wait with expectation. Number 5, I'm all excited. Please stay with me. I'm so excited for you. I'm so excited for this. The another rhythm that we probably know really well is celebrating and sharing joy when God answers. Finally, joy is not just personal, right? Joy is meant to be celebrated and to be shared. When God moves, the harvest comes. It's a time for laughter, song, and celebration. Oh, it's a time to throw your hands up and to give God praise. We're called to spread our joy with other people. See, one of the things that it says in the passage, it says that the Lord has done great things for you, or great things for us, where we're glad. And then the nations answer back, the Lord has done great things for them. See, when our joy is evident, when we're steadily trusting in God, it spreads. It becomes a testimony of God's faithfulness. Joy grows when it's shared. And this cycle of celebration leads us back, watch this, to remembering God's goodness and starting the rhythm all over again. See, the rhythms of joy are cyclical. When we get to a time of celebration, it causes people to remember again when God has been good. When we get to the celebration point, it becomes a point of demarcation where if life should change again, we have another reason to give God praise when we're going through another tough circumstances. Look, I want us to do something real quick to encourage each other. So listen, in the comments, I need you to go right now. What is something you are praying for with expectation? Or if you're not praying for anything right now, I need you to go back into your memory banks and think, What was a time in my life where I could palpably taste the goodness of God? Like, I need you to share that and write that, because something that some people need in this session right now is some people need to know that they can pray with expectation for big and amazing things that God will do. Some people need to, maybe your prayer might be the prayer I've been lacking to pray. I've been failing to pray, right? But the other thing is that some people need to borrow your stories. Listen, the nation said in the text, the Lord has done great things for them. Like, it's okay to get excited about what God has done in someone else's life. And that testimony that you're sharing might actually bless somebody. So go in the comments right now and write it. Let's talk about it. I want to see what you guys have. So let's recap real quick. Psalms 126 reveals rhythms of joy we can practice: recalling God's faithfulness, praying with hope, sowing with tears, waiting with expectation, and celebrating with gratitude. Each of these rhythms creates a steady, faith-filled life of joy no matter the season you're in. If you enjoyed this message, hit subscribe and check out my videos about growing your faith and learning how to pray. But more importantly, if this video blessed you, share it with somebody who needs joy. You never know who's in your community who needs to learn how to start practicing the rhythms of joy. Remember, joy is not a feeling that's tied to our circumstances. Joy is the steady rhythm of hope, faith, and trust in God. As you go through these seasons, keep these rhythms in your life and watch how joy becomes a consistent part of your journey. Love you guys. Thank you so much. Like, comment, subscribe again. Also, remember that I'm a Christian life coach. If you need someone to walk with you through this teaching one-to-one, I am here for you and I can help you do that. Just follow the link in the description and I will get back to you as soon as I can. And maybe we can have some sessions and talk together. Bless you. Thank you so much.